It's the country's #1 RVing radio show, sponsored by RVtravel.com, with your host, Alan Warren, the RV Wingman.
And welcome to what will be another information-filled interview, one that if you happen to have purchased an RV from Camping World with a Good Sam extended service plan, or an ESP as some folks call them, this is a follow-up to a lengthy interview we did about, 3 or 4 weeks ago on the subject. If you do have a Good Sam ESP, you'd like to get your money back, the unused prepaid premium, we're going to talk about it and just how you do it. I am Alan Warren, the RV Wingman, steering you away from sketchy situations and disinfecting some dark spots when it comes to RVs and RV dealers and some of the not-so-great parts of the RV lifestyle. On the RV Show USA guest line is another man who also shines the light of truth on some rather dark places. He's a sponsor of this show, is one rock-solid, honest RV dealer. He's one of the most outspoken people I know of when it comes to some of the troubles that he sees at Camping World. Mr. Kevin Frazer, welcome back to the show.
Hello, Alan. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Now, without going over everything that we did in the video a few weeks back, which that video is still up on YouTube in terms of Camping World and their financial situation, have you seen anything that gives you hope for a full recovery since we last spoke, or you think things are still looking kind of gloomy?
You mean kind of gloomy for Camping World's financial future?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of think it's worse than we thought, but I made a mistake last time I was on, and some of the listeners have mentioned to me that they've been confused. You see, last time I told your listeners that Camping World would bankrupt because they had too much leverage, but I did not explain leverage. Do you think I could take a minute to try to explain with an example?
Yes, but remember who you're talking to. I'm not a really smart guy, so you got to make it real basic so I can understand it, Kevin.
Yeah, well, I got the problem I have is I've been living with this stuff for 50 years, so it just seems normal. I understand.
Okay.
Let's say that you've earned your pension and you retire, and you sell your house. It's paid for, so you don't have any mortgage to retire, and you buy a new $300,000 house in Florida for cash.
Okay.
But then Mom tells you she wants to go to Paris, but you don't have any money for the trip, so you think, I don't owe any money on the house, go to the bank, find out about a home equity loan, where the banker sits you down, and the banker says to you, your house is worth $300,000. What maybe you should do is borrow the whole $300,000. I'll make a loan to you because the houses in that neighborhood are going up in value. I'll make you pay only interest for 5 years, only 3%. The last mortgage you had was 7%. You're thinking that's a hell of a deal.
Right.
And then you find a bond that pays 5% a year, and you figure, okay, I borrow $300,000 at 3%. That costs me $9,000 a year. And I buy $300,000 worth of these 5% bonds.
$15,000
pays me $15,000, and I got $6,000 in extra income to supplement my pension.
Right.
You can go to Paris every year with Mama, and so that's what you do. But now you're maxed out. You have extreme leverage, and if something bad or unforeseen happens, like your pension ends because the city of Chicago declares bankruptcy, or your insurance doesn't cover your hurricane losses, or that 5% bond is called, or even worse, the issuer goes bankrupt as well, you have no reserves and you lose your house. Camping World is levered worse than that. In the year 2017, there's 20 lawsuits from 20 different law firms alleging insider trading, unjust enrichment. What the insiders did in 2017 to Camping World was, in effect, remove $530 million worth of equity. They mortgaged the house up to the hilt.
Oh, now, wow. Which would put a lot of money in their pocket.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of money.
$530 million.
But a tremendous amount of debt on the company.
Yes. Last time I was on, I said that they were 151 to 1 leverage. That is debt to equity, and that it was dangerous anything above 7 to 1. Some blogger, by the way, I've noticed that the trolls are stabbing at you all the time. How are you holding up?
I'm doing all right. There's a lot of good people out there, but they are stabbing at me. I'm taking some errors, that's for sure.
Way back in '92, Warren Buffett told me that in the future, privacy would be the greatest of luxuries. He told me to hide from the internet, which I did until about a year and a half ago.
Well, I guess I'm guilty of getting you out putting you on social media.
No. Camping World is. St. Peter does not give full marks for half efforts. You got to do what you got to do. Okay, now, when I said they were 151 to 1 debt to equity, some blogger by name called me out in the financial pages to say what a jerk I was, because it wasn't 151 at all. It was 264 to 1.
Oh.
So, I mean, what? That's what goes on the internet. You can't. It's the way the world is now, amigo.
Wow. Well, that's unbelievable. I have a note here that said to ask you about Toys R Us and an analogy. What does Toys R Us have to do with anything with Camping World, Kevin Frazer?
I think we can go right down that path and explain it pretty well.
Okay.
Everybody loved Toys R Us.
Yes.
A few years ago when they bankrupted, were you surprised that they bankrupted?
Yeah, but I wasn't paying much attention to it. I mean, how would Toys R Us? Everybody has to buy toys for their kids and grandkids, right?
40 years they were around. They had 1,000 stores. Everybody loved them. Their customers thought they were the bee's knees. And when they went into bankruptcy, it was a big surprise to me. The only thing that I didn't know was that different ownership had moved in, and they'd mortgaged the house 100%. To increase their pocketfuls, they levered the company up. And the one thing that will kill a retailer, and you go back in history and look at all the publicly traded retailers in this country, every one of them that died had one thing in common: way too much debt. The people at Toys R Us, they had happy customers who liked them, who went back over and over again, who were always happy to give a visit to Toys R Us. Even the adults found things to buy there they could give as joke gifts to their adult pals. It was a cool place. But the new owners were trying to maximize their take, and they did exactly what our homeowner did, only worse. And when the unexpected, that would be Amazon and Walmart, came along, the Toys R Us was not ready. Toys R Us didn't have any money or borrowing power to put up an online competitor for Amazon or Walmart. They had nowhere to go but out of business. And I remember heroic efforts were made through those months that bankruptcy, they were in and out of bankruptcy talks, but it couldn't be saved because there's simply too much debt. They were too highly levered. Camping World is levered way worse. They are carrying incredible amounts of debt, way worse than anything that ever took Toys R Us down.
How are they, Kevin? How are they allowed to do that? I mean, how are they allowed to just a lender just goes, here's your money, poof, here's all your hundreds of millions of dollars? How are they allowed to do that and then leave the shareholders out there with basically worthless paper?
Well, it's kind of like that Sam Clemens story about boiling a frog. If you're going to boil a frog, you don't drop it in a pot of hot water; it'll jump right out. You put the frog in a cold pan of water and then heat it up. Those lenders are only now coming to realize just how exposed they are. And the shareholders, they were duped. Those 20 lawsuits that are pending, those 20 law firms, all of them are on contingency, by the way. These expensive lawyers aren't going to get paid unless they win that judgment for $530 million of insider trading leading to unjust enrichment. That is the simplest explanation I can give as to whether they're going to win or not. No lawyer is going to spend that kind of money chasing that kind of court time unless they know they've got them cold. Now, the lenders that I talk to that are related to Camping World, those that can are reducing their exposure. But you know that game that, since we're talking about Toys R Us, that Jenga game where you got a big, tall pile?
The wooden block, the little, yeah.
And you pull, and the game is you pull them out until they fall down. The loser's the one that causes them to fall.
Right.
The lenders that are involved with Camping World don't want to be the one to pull out the Jenga stick that knocks the whole thing down. It's bad form. They're hoping for the best. The ones that I talk to that are giving me inside skinny tell me that they're going to give him probably the rest of this year, but they are dying to see the second and third quarter results. Hell, we're not going to see the second quarter results until August.
All right,
And
Kevin, hang on just a second. I got to jump in. To our listeners out there, if you're wondering who this man is that I'm talking to, Kevin, I'm going to kind of paint a little picture here, so just bear with me, folks. I want you to imagine something. First off, Kevin is a friend of mine. He's a sponsor of the show, and for that we are most grateful. But I want you to imagine this, if you're a listener. What if you had an RV dealership? You built that RV dealership over decades and decades, worked your tail off, and it was really paying off. And then someone came to you and wanted to buy your RV dealership for a lot of money. It wasn't just somebody, it was Camping World. They wanted to buy it. How excited would you be? I mean, just think about it. All your hard work is paid off, and they're going to give you a lot of money for it. That is exactly what happened to you, right, Kevin?
Oh, in 2013, this little fella came into my office and sat down at the desk the chair across from my desk and started telling me how much he wanted to buy our store. Well, I'd never seen this guy before. He wasn't 5 feet tall, and so as soon as I found out who he represented, I made sure that he left the facility. His feet didn't actually touch the ground, but until he got into his car. Now, I dispatched that little fellow with such alacrity that I must have attracted the attention of the big he. So after that, I got a call from Marcus Lemoynis himself, and we had nice chats about the RV industry. And he said to me at the end of that conversation, he said, Kevin, you're very interesting. Can I call you again so that we can talk about the RV industry? Maybe I'll even visit. I said, of course, Mr. Lemoynis. You see, he thought I was interesting, and I thought he was extremely well-spoken for a venomous reptile.
Were you ever tempted at the money that they were dangling in front of you? I mean,
no. This is a village. This belongs to me legally and my brothers, but it belongs to us. There's 50-some people, 53 people working here today. We all work together. We work for each other. We've been in business over 50 years because we're in business to make a living, not in business to make a killing. Marcus Lemoynis is in this business to make a killing, which he's done. Now we'll see if he gets away with it.
And so ever since then, Camping World has been really high on your priority list just to watch them and monitor what's been going on. So, folks, that's how Kevin...
In 2013, I opened up the file. He called me a few times. The last call was in 14. By then, I think his gaze shifted. But I kept an eye on what was going on at Camping World. There had been attempts all the way back to the beginning of this century to take the company public, but they couldn't get any investment bankers interested in doing the deal because the company wasn't ready to go public. But that's another whole story. Toys R Us again. Let's talk about them. They went bankrupt because they were over-levered. They had happy customers. They had regular business. They had good relationships with their vendors. But they were over-levered and went out of business because they couldn't carry that debt. Camping World's got worse debt problems than that. But Camping World's got some other problems. They're a publicly traded company that has been audited twice, and they failed both audits, and they fired the first auditor. That should get them delisted. It hasn't. I don't know why. Then they have that little problem with those 20 lawsuits that we just talked about. And then happy customers, I haven't found any. I haven't found anybody that did business with Camping World twice. After one time, they want to run away and stay away. Of course, Katie did a fine job with that presentation. That PDF, which is really like an ebook, the how-to step-by-step instructions to get your extended warranty refund, that's getting 300 downloads a day, and that's miraculous. Thank you, Katie. But who are those downloads going to? People that have figured out that they can't make a claim worthwhile on that extended warranty program, but more, they probably... Well, Lemoynis says that they sell their average ESP is sold for $4,000. You know what the average industry ESP on a camper is? $1,000. So they already paid 4 times more than it was worth, and people are figuring that out. They're going, downloading the PDF, which is practically an ebook, following the instructions, send it in. I'm getting all kinds of nice little notes and texts and emails telling me I got 3,000, I got 4,000, I got 5,000. One guy last week got 6,000 back. This is amazing to me, and this is one way that people can reduce their excessive loans on their RVs and get in a position where they can trade. Because that's the biggest thing that Lemoynis has done to our business. He's buried people in loans so they can never trade again. And the Marcus Lemoynis and his business practices have taken, by his own definition in his conference calls, has taken maybe 11,000 people and put them in loans that they can never hope to pay off. Mostly first-time buyers, almost all first-time buyers. We in this business always figured if you bought one RV, you buy four. Those people are never going to buy any more RVs. And they don't just hate the dealer Camping World, they hate all RV dealers. And they don't just hate Thor, who built the camper they're in, they hate all RV builders. And they don't just hate M&T Bank that wrote the loan that they're buried in, they hate all banks. They're never going to have another RV. They're going to go on to some other hobby, and we're out. If that 300,000 plus number is equaled by those parrots in the RV industry that follow the same tactics, and you guys know who you are, there's maybe 600,000 people who are buried in loans they can never get out of. And if you take Lemoynis' own number that they trade every 4 years, or should, that's 150,000 people that aren't going to buy an RV this year, and that's 150,000 people that aren't going to buy next year, and that's a permanent recession in the RV industry, which is good for maybe 500,000 vehicles a year. And we've got people that are fiscally ruined. Now,
that just kills me. It just to hear this, because I can see it. I don't want to see it, Kevin. I don't want to see this picture, but I can't deny it. I mean, it's what you're saying, and then I've done my research, and it's sad. And when people say you're just trying to destroy, he's trying to destroy Camping World. I'm trying to help consumers buy. I mean, come on. If you have a Good Sam extended service plan, folks, and if Camping World, if they do file bankruptcy, and many people think they are, if they do file bankruptcy, you become an unsecured creditor, and the chances you getting your money or having an ESP are virtually zero, right?
Yes, they'll be zero. The bankruptcy judge is going to just wipe out everybody that doesn't have secured or collateralized claims against Camping World. But even the collateralized claimants, the bankers are worried that they're going to be in a position where they're going to take a beating on the loans that they have to Camping World. There's a lot of funny stories that I'm hearing. These are things we shouldn't talk about on the radio, but they just spook me.
Yeah, well, I'll bet you I've received 300 or 400 emails and more than at least 100 telephone calls from people. Every single one of them. Have you got the little every single one of them sounded like this. Listen to this, Kevin.
My name is Abe. I live in Salt Lake City. I purchased a camper from Camping World, and I watched your video. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the PDF link. If you can send that to me, I would appreciate it.
My name is Phyllis, and we are trying to see if you might can help us figure out how to get the forms to get our reimbursement for our extended warranty through the Good Sam's program.
My name is Tommy Lindley. I was watching a video on how to get my ESP back from Camping World. He advised that he would put a PDF link to it on the video, but I could not get it. So I need to know how to get the paperwork.
I assume you've been inundated with calls and emails as well, Kevin.
Yeah, sure. Our name doesn't actually appear on it. You know why I made that? Katie's done a wonderful job presenting it formally, but I would have people come in here that would like to trade with us that had bought from one of the Camping World. I got 3 Camping World stores that are like satellites around our store, and more. There's like 40 Camping World stores in Iowa and the contiguous states, and they would come in with terrible problems related to owing too much to trade or to make a new loan. And so I would say, well, did you buy an ESP? They never knew if they did. They weren't sure what an ESP was, but if they would bring their paperwork in, we would look, and sure enough, 3,000, 4,000, 6,000, there was an ESP. And I said, well, first of all, this is the down payment you need to get out of the one you don't like. But you have to make the claim. Here, it's in this section here. It tells you how to make a claim. Well, that read mostly like Latin to people. I'm in the business, and it took a while for me to sort it out. So I wrote that step-by-step, which is a PDF, and I put it on a link on my own homepage so that I could tell people who wanted to trade with us, well, first thing you do is make your claim and get your money back on your ESP. It also applies to some of the other products, in particular that what they call a gap plan. Those are refundable, too, under state law.
Yep.
So you just follow those rules, you get your money back. And the first thing Camping World will tell you if you call into them is that plan doesn't belong to you, it belongs to your bank. That's not true, but you don't really care if they send the check to the bank or make the check out to the bank because it's reducing the amount of money you owe, and you're paying interest on that.
And let me jump in again here real quick. Folks, we're not talking about a little bit of money. It could be a little bit, hundreds of dollars, but it could be thousands of dollars. Kevin, I received this email from Roger and Lori up in Orangeville, PA. Just says, Alan, I want to thank you for the information you posted on YouTube regarding Camping World, and we requested a refund on our extended service plan. Sounds like we were one of the lucky ones. I sent 2 letters, blah, 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 blah. It says, on Friday, we received an email from the finance manager. They had processed our request check and was in the mail. We received on Monday a check for $3,928.95. Almost $4,000 they didn't even know they could get back. And they can go buy another ESP if they want to for a lot less money.
And they're not paying interest on that wasting product. Nobody goes out and gets a car insurance plan for like a year and borrows money for 15 years to pay for it. No, this is perfect. This is great. This warms me. There was an example. This one was the son-in-law of a man who was more than 80 years of age. And the guy called me up. And this is before I appeared on your show last time. And I gave him the PDF because he wasn't a customer of mine, but he called me because he saw my video, Camping World, The Truth. And he called me up and said, what can I do about this? And I said, well, tell me what's happened. Dad bought a used motorhome last April of 18. Mm-hmm. And Dad bought the whole works. And Dad bought an ESP for $6,800 on this used motorhome. Wait, because I didn't get this information until the second call when the son-in-law called me up and he says, Kevin, is this unusual? Because I'd asked him what the policy covered. And he says it's for 48 months, but it covers only RV systems. It doesn't cover the chassis. I said, that's insane. He got his refund. Now, he didn't get the whole thing. He got 75% because he'd had it for a year of the 4 years, but he got 75% back. But for almost $7,000, they weren't even covering the chassis. Why would you have such a policy? Why is one even written? I couldn't understand that. But those are the kind of stuff you run into. And the Camping World people are told that they have to get these kind of grosses out of these policies. Like in that video that we made, The Truth, the policy that we would have sold the policy for less than $1,000. They asked for $4,000, and then they told the guy they'd give him a deal, only $2,700. But you could have bought the same policy that's worth less than $1,000 on Good Sam Direct for $1,700 at the exact same time. They just jacked the price up forever. Yeah, people can look at it in The Truth. I got all the documentation in that video on YouTube.
You know, and folks, you can check it out. Go to YouTube, just type in Camping World The Truth, and you'll find it's had hundreds of thousands of views. Now, Kevin, I have received a little bit of pushback from people a few people that say that I'm full of it, you're full of it. We're essentially lying that in the event of bankruptcy, a state insurance commissioner will step in and the ESP is in no danger. I tried to explain it. Maybe you can do a better job than I. Can you explain how that is not really going to happen?
Yeah. You see, an ESP has an insurance component, but it's a really peculiar hybrid vehicle. Essentially, and if you look at the policy, it says extended service plan. Essentially, an ESP, which sometimes unscrupulous types will call an extended warranty, it's not a warranty. It's prepaid insurance. Marcus Lemoyne says that on a typical policy, they have $800 in claims. Wonderful if you're selling the claim for $4,000, and that those claims are for service stuff. But there is an insurance component. Good Sam also sells crash insurance, collision insurance, a regular policy. Now, the reason that there are insurance commissioners, because in the past when we didn't have them, fly-by-night organizations would come in and they would sell car insurance to people that were unsuspecting. They'd collect a year's worth of premiums, and poof, they were gone. They weren't ever a real company. So the insurance commissioners require that they be bonded in each state in which they do business. And in the part of the bonding process is to have those reinsurers, like your trolls are talking about, and those reinsurers are responsible in this circumstance. You've got a collision policy, a regular car insurance policy, and you crash your trailer into a tree, and you make a call, and there's nobody there. The phone line's been disconnected. But it rolls you over to another number that tells you to call the insurance commissioner of your state. Under that circumstance, the state insurance commissioner will assign a caseworker to that, arrange for an adjuster to make an equitable settlement with you, repair the trailer, total the trailer out, and pay it off, what insurance adjusters do. And then the state will claim the cost of all of that process from the reinsurer, the backstop, the bonding agent. Now, an ESP is different. An ESP is mostly you call up and say, I'm here at the service shop, and we need an authorization to replace the chip in our TV antenna. It's going to cost $80. Well, you call the number, and there's no rollover. The number doesn't answer. That's when you find out, when there is no phone number, that your ESP company's out of business. You call your state insurance commissioner and say, my ESP's out of business. The only insurance part of an ESP is the total loss part. In that ESP, there's a clause about how their total liability in the event of a failure mechanical on your RV, let's say it's a motorhome, on your motorhome is limited to the market value of that vehicle. That is, if we can't fix it, the most we have to pay out is what the thing's worth. So in the case you have a motorhome that's on a chassis that is from a manufacturer that no longer exists, and a critical component is necessary, and you can't get that component, an adjuster is appointed by the state to go out and make a deal to buy that motorhome in an equitable settlement, or they go to court. You know how that all goes.
Yeah.
But the states do not have any mechanism for authorizing TV or water pump or furnace repairs. That's the prepaid insurance component. So unless you got a total loss, the state insurance commissioner has no interest in an ESP.
Okay, good. We've got a lot of people online. They have questions. We have Phil says that Gander RV is building a new center in Wichita, Kansas. Wants to know if Camping World is speculating. What are your thoughts?
Well,
they're building a new center.
I'm often speculating on what the tactics were concerning Gander. But if you take a look at the reputation that has been earned by Camping World, you can see it's pretty transparent. The Camping World reputation is so awful that they have to get away from that name. And I think they bought Gander and then Gander Outdoors as a place to hide from their bad reputation. So if you go on like Piss Consumer, thousands of complaints. If you become Gander, and I've already had this from people. I had this from one of the guys that's on my staff. They didn't know that Gander was owned by Camping World and went there and bought a gun. When they found out it was owned by Camping World, they apologized to me. I said, you couldn't have known. This is part of the plan. Our reputation is bad, so we changed the name.
All right.
You'll notice that, wait a minute. You'll notice that Toys R Us are coming back. They got 6 stores to open up, but they're not changing the name because people love Toys R Us.
Gotcha. All right, we have our friends at Talk Camping New Hampshire says that Camping World has got hundreds of very expensive RVs and motorhomes on their lots up in New Hampshire. He wants to know, does Camping World own those RVs or what?
No, those RVs belong to a syndicate of lenders. They're owned by a floor plan, or Camping World borrows the money on what is called a floor plan. It's a revolving line of credit. And on that floor plan are the value of those RVs. An RV is ordered by Camping World. It shows up on a Camping World lot. When it shows up on the Camping World lot, the bank, in this case it's a group of banks with the administrator being Bank of America. The Bank of America has fiduciary duty. They pay the company that vended it to them. Almost everything that Camping World sells is Thor, so they pay Thor. And then that loan is outstanding, and then I get into the weeds about things like curtailments and overages and exceeding the line. I don't want to go anywhere near that, but the members of that syndicate that is directed by Bank of America have expressed to me great concern and have told me, two of those members of the syndicate have told me that they are limiting their exposure to Camping World because of, let us say, they don't trust the Camping World financial statements, which is perfectly understandable since they've had two audits in the company's history and they failed both of them.
Okay, let me just say this, folks. We're going to put the link up on the screen again. This is the PDF file that if you will click on it, copy and paste it in your browser. This is the step-by-step plan for you to get the unused portion of your prepaid premium back. It can be anywhere from hundreds to thousands of dollars. It's easy to do, but you have to do it exactly. Step 1, 2, 3. Do it precisely as the PDF says. Take this PDF file, follow the instructions, and make sure if you've got any friends that have bought an RV through Camping World. Most of them also purchased a Good Sam ESP. You don't have to cancel it. You can sit back and hope that things go great. But if you're concerned, you'd like to get your money back, less a $50 processing fee, all you have to do is follow the instructions. Forward that PDF link to your friends. Post it on Facebook and group pages if you can. Don't get in trouble, but these are legitimate instructions. I'm getting emails and phone calls every week from people that are ecstatic, over the moon, saying, I couldn't believe it. We got $2,000 back. This person, we got $3,927 or whatever back. Kevin, you got people that get $5,000 back.
I had $6,000 last week.
It's just amazing. So I have a question for you. What kind of an effect would a bankruptcy have on suppliers and manufacturers if Camping World were to indeed file for bankruptcy protection?
I suspect that it's a completely manageable situation because everybody on this side of the business has been talking about it for a couple of years. I know that the major manufacturers have made provisions for exactly that eventuality. It is no longer discussed as an if, it's discussed as a when. So I don't think there's going to be a great, huge problem. I worry more about the bankers, but they took this exposure on themselves. I hope that they've got themselves covered.
See, everybody I talk to, the people that are in the industry, I'm talking sales reps and the like, they think that I'm smoking something. They're like, oh, you got to be kidding me. Maybe they're having a few problems, but things are going to be okay. Isn't this Camping World situation like the 400-pound gorilla in the room that some people just want to ignore?
Well, you know, Alan, you are, what would I say, a prominent member of the recreational vehicle press community, and it might just be that various employees of RV manufacturers don't want to be quoted by you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Now, and why do they want to tell me this stuff? Because I got really good gossip to trade with them, too.
All right, so going back to the Good Sam ESPs, let's just say that we are wrong. You and I are wrong, and Camping World comes roaring back, but somebody has already canceled their ESP. What's the worst thing that can happen to that person?
They might have to pay, on average, over the life of that ESP, $800 in repairs, on average. And if they're worried about more of an exposure than that, they can go to the many online purveyors and buy an ESP. If they're convinced that Camping World Good Sam's going to be around for the future, they could buy one from Good Sam online for a lot less money. But you know what? They have a monthly option, just like you do when you buy other insurance. And if I was buying anything from Good Sam under these circumstances, I'd be sure to buy a monthly premium option.
Just in case. So how are the sales numbers for Camping World through this year so far? I mean, things are...
okay, what I got so far is through the month of March. They're down quite a little bit, but the industry's way down too.
Right.
So we got to wait and see.
Right.
I'm having... I listened to Marcus Lemoynis's last conference with investors at the end of May. And in that conference, he said that the first quarter was quite difficult, and he blamed it all on the weather. And he thinks that the second quarter will be excellent. So I guess the tail of the tape will be available to us in August, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be lots of interesting news then.
I'm sure there is. All right, folks, as I always do, just want you to know, I always extend an invitation to Camping World, to Marcus, to join me on the air here in San Antonio, to visit with me live, where folks can actually chime in. You know, I emailed Marcus back in January. He said that he was interested, but he never got back with me with a date that will work for him. I only have 3 or 4 questions for him. That's all I want to ask you, Marcus, but I'd like to do it live. So, again, you are invited to be on the show. By the way, I am not taunting Camping World. I promise you, folks, I am not. I am sharing with RVers my opinions and the opinions of my guest, and I'm always open to industry folks who can come on and tell me that I am wrong. So, Kevin, like you said, I guess there have been thousands and thousands of people who have already downloaded this PDF.
Oh, yes, please. And every one of them are going to come out in the end. This is wonderful news. Oh, you know, Marcus Lemoyne sent out a flyer last month in which he was suggesting that people that don't have an ESP from Good Sam, buy one now. And in that, there is the guarantee from Marcus Lemoyne himself that if you're unhappy for any reason, you can submit your request for a refund that will be happily made.
You know, I've received 2 solicitations from Camping World in the mail in the last 6 weeks wanting me to buy a Good Sam ESP. I mean,
exactly.
It's a beautiful sales piece. I wonder how effective they are. But can you just imagine how many more people we could reach if our listeners were to copy and paste that URL with the PDF instructions? It'd be unbelievable.
Well, you know, the problem predicted by Warren Buffett, and you're experiencing these nasty trolls right now. There's a good side to social media, and that good side is Americans looking out for Americans. So everybody should do exactly what you say. Spread the word.
And then make the decision on your own. If you think that everything's great, don't do anything. But if you have any doubts, people are getting their money back, I'm telling you. So you may be going, why are we talking so much about Camping World lately? Is it to hurt them? And the answer is no. We are trying to help consumers. We're trying to preserve as best as possible the entire RV industry. It's not so Cheyenne Camping Center can sell more RVs. I mean, I guess you guys are doing pretty well, but this is an industry thing. You are standing up like a patriot.
Well, those 300,000 people that can never buy another RV and hate RV, RVers, RV makers, RV bankers, I don't want to make any more of those unhappy people.
Yeah, I don't either. I have, I guess, one final question for you. I didn't realize that we were going to be talking this long, but what do you say to the people that say the old wingman here is so negative that nobody wants to hear negative, especially some people in the RV industry? What do you see that they don't see in terms of negativity? Why do you and Cheyenne Camping Center sponsor this show? And I am so glad you do.
Because people got to know the truth. It's as simple as that. How can you make a decision if you don't know what the facts are? People should be expressing their opinions. This is America, for heaven's sake. If you don't like our opinions, ignore them. But if you don't know for sure and you do a little extra research, you're going to find out that the old wingman's been right most of the time.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to enlighten our listeners. I am so proud of your support. Tell me that we can do this again sometime soon, Kevin Frazer.
Oh, sure. Anytime you want me, just ring me up. I'll be there. You know that.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Kevin. We'll talk to you again soon, okay?
Thanks, Alan.
All right, you bet. All right, before we close the show, folks, I want to make 100% certain that everyone has access to the PDF file with the step-by-step instructions on it. We're going to post it on the home page. In fact, it's there on our website right now. Right there on the home page, all you got to do is it's one of the big sliders, as they call them, on our home page. It's how to cancel your Good Sam ESP. Go to thervshowusa.com. Like I said, it's right there on the home page. One of the automatic sliders, just click on it, then click on the link and print out the PDF. Follow the instructions exactly. Make copies. Do everything that the instructions say. It's easy to do, and you got nothing to lose. Finally, if you're a member of some RV group pages on Facebook, feel free, please, to share the link to the PDF in your group. There are tens and tens of thousands of people who are wanting this info and have no idea of where to find it. That's going to do it for now. I hope that you enjoyed my visit with Kevin Frazer. He's a good man, an honest man. I'm proud to call him my friend. Thanks to Kevin and many, many others in the RV industry, we are doing our level best to provide RVers like you with information that you will most likely not hear anywhere else. Until next time, this is the RV Wingman, Alan Warren. Remember, folks, don't leave those good manners at home. So long, everybody.